Hey, welcome to Laid Off and Looking, How to Get on Track and Stay Motivated. I'm Hannah Morgan, also known as the Career Sherpa, and I'm going to walk you through some steps and activities that you can take if you've been laid off from a job. Everything you already have at your disposal. So no gimmicks, no sales, just hardcore things that you can do to keep yourself on track and to stay motivated. I know that looking for work can be very grueling. It's not an easy process. It might be one of the hardest things that you have to go through, but there are things that you can do to keep yourself in the right frame of mind and keep you going even when those times are hard. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Here's today's agenda. We're going to look at what to do to stay mentally healthy, what you need to do, what you need for your job search, how to manage your time and stay motivated, and the one true secret that everybody needs to know about job search. Staying mentally healthy is probably the most important thing that you can do during your job search. And let me tell you a quick story. My husband was an airline pilot, and I flew on a lot of commercial flights during our early marriage. One of the things that you and I have seen 1,000 million times, which makes so much sense, is that the flight attendant at the front of the cabin tells you that in the case of a loss of pressure, the oxygen mask will drop from above. And when that happens, please put the oxygen mask on yourself first so that you can better help those traveling with you. The same is true for you and your job search. You need to take good care of yourself mentally and physically so that you can better help those around you. You want to be able to come across as confident and capable, and that happens when you are mentally healthy. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote a book on death and dying, and in it she describes this grief cycle. And ever since then, what we know happens is that the loss of a family member or a friend in death is very similar to the same set of emotions that we go through when we lose a job. Those stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and ultimately acceptance. You will have days where you are going through all of these emotions, and we call it an emotional roller coaster because in the course of an hour you could go through almost all of these emotions. The key is to understand that everything that you are going through, the emotions you are feeling, they're absolutely normal. Every job seeker goes through them. The key is how we manage our emotions and deal with our emotions. I have known job seekers who have gotten caught in depression or anger, and they walk around with those emotions on their sleeve, so to speak. There was a gentleman I remember who started coming to one of our job clubs, and he would wear a button-down shirt, sometimes even a jacket or tie in the beginning. And by the end, 3 months in, he was wearing sweatpants and a torn t-shirt, and he wasn't shaving. And what we came to find out was that he was going through a lot of emotions and he wasn't able to process them, and he was emotionally depressed. And he ultimately dropped out of the job search, and we don't know whatever happened to him. But these kinds of things happen. The key is that you need to be aware of your emotions and how they're showing to the outside world and be able to deal with them. And the best way to do that is to take care of yourself emotionally and get the oxygen that you need. Let's take a look at 4 things that you can do today to start taking care of yourself. There have been a lot of job seekers that I've met over the years that have decided that with their newfound freedom of time during their job search, they've implemented some new healthy routines. Some of them chose exercise. Some of them chose to eat more healthy. Others used meditation, and others found time to invest in the hobbies that they had been putting off while they were working, or decided to embark on a brand new hobby that they've always wanted to enjoy. You have some more time in your schedule today, and implementing some of these healthy habits can be a way to keep you energized emotionally and to build a new routine, a healthy routine that will help you stay on track and motivated. The next are four things that you can do that actually will serve you well and make you feel better. During this time of unemployment, you may find that you have an interest in being more creative, whether it is allowing yourself to listen to music or attend concerts or participate in art or write short stories. These are all activities that get your creative juices flowing, and it may have been something that was missing from your life all along. Music and art are great ways for you to test and use your creativity. Humor and laughter is another wonderful outlet and way to balance your and get your endorphins flowing. Research has shown that the actual act of laughing produces endorphins that make you feel better. So if you haven't already found a humorous outlet for yourself, look for a great comedy on TV or Netflix. Watch some live comedy shows. Do what you can do, see what you can do to add a little bit of humor into your life. Journaling is another exercise that has been proven to develop some mental stamina. It allows you to write down what you're thinking and feeling and get that out of your system. It also can be used as a way to reinforce positive behaviors, such as the gratitude journal, and we'll talk more about that later. The act of volunteering and helping others is something that can be very beneficial for a lot of people, and it doesn't even matter what you volunteer doing. It could be volunteering with your church or with youth or with people in a nonprofit organization. Giving back allows you to feel good and feel productive and feel like you can make a difference. And that's something that you don't get a lot of opportunity to do while you're job searching. So look for ways to incorporate these four things into your week. Next, we'll look at four things you can do to work smarter, not harder in your job search. If you're someone who is trying to get your work done for a job search at the kitchen table and you're constantly being interrupted, then maybe that's not the best place to work. Maybe you can go to the public library or to a coffee shop. Change where you work if you're not feeling productive and focused. It could even be a park bench or outside on your deck or patio, whatever. Change where you work every once in a while and see if the energy that you're feeling and generating is changing. If you don't keep a regular routine, now is a great time to put one together. We had that when we were working. We knew exactly what time we were going to leave for work and when we were going to get home, and we carved out time in our day for that. You should do the same for your job search. Keep a regular schedule and routine so that you know there's that sense of consistency, which is lacking right now. The other reminder is to align the activities you do with your energy. So I'm a morning person. I do some of my best thinking early in the morning. By 3 o'clock, I don't think as sharply as I do at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I plan my activities that require a lot of thinking to happen earlier in the day, and I schedule lighter activities in the afternoon when I know I'm not as sharp. You can do the exact same thing. The other thing that can happen is that we sometimes allot 4 hours to get the resume and application done. But that gives us a full 4 hours to get that done, and it doesn't take 4 hours. You're much better off working in shorter spurts. So those shorter spurts could be, I'm going to work for 1 hour on the resume, 30 minutes for the cover letter, and another amount of time for something else related to job search. Just set shorter work spurts. Instead of saying that you want to get a job, there are subcomponents that can go into that. Instead of saying I'm going to apply for a job, there are subcomponents that can be broken into too. Break your tasks into smaller parts which require shorter amounts of time so that you can get them done and stay focused on the activity. Later on, we'll be talking about setting SMART goals, which is another way of breaking bigger tasks into smaller parts, at least measurable. During your job search, you may invest some of this newfound time into learning something new, whether it be a new skill that you've always wanted, a new technology that you've wanted to learn. Invest in some of those soft skills that you have wanted to acquire. This is a great way to explain to somebody what you've been doing during your job search, because you will be asked that question, what have you been doing since you've been looking for a new job? Besides just saying you've been looking for a job, you can talk about some of the professional development that you've been doing as well. If you don't use a calendar, now is a really good time to use a calendar, whether it be a paper calendar or an electronic calendar or both. Using a calendar will help you keep track of the many different activities and things that you have going on during your job search. You're going to need that. And turn off your distractions. Rather than having your computer ding and notify you that you are getting a new email message or that you've got somebody who's commented on your LinkedIn post, turn those notifications off. They serve as distractions and take you away from what your focus is and what you're working on at that amount of time. So at that particular time. So do turn off your distractions and notifications. Using all these tips will help you feel like you have control over your job search, which is something that we often don't feel. We feel we are at the whim and mercy of the employer. The bottom line is, when you control what you can control, which is your emotions, you feel more confident, you feel more in control. So those times when you're getting ghosted, instead of letting your emotions drive your frustration or get you angry, you can't control those things. You can't control when the employer is getting back to you or when someone responds or doesn't respond. You have to learn how to let go of that and focus on the things that you can control, the actions that you will take. Rejection will happen, and age discrimination will happen. Those are things, again, that anger us, that frustrate us, that get our emotions all flurried. But we can't let that get in our way of being confident and being in control and being in the driver's seat of our job search. One of the hardest things in job search is dealing with all of the emotions that come with rejection and all of these things. And so the most important message that I want you to take away from today is to shift your thinking. Instead of this is happening to me, all of these things are happening to me, I want you to look for the good. Start a gratitude journal. Write for 15, 30 minutes every day at the end of the day, one or two things that you are grateful for that day. That trains the brain to look for the good. And at the end of that, 30 days of doing that, you've built a new habit of positive thinking. The other thing to think about is, don't beat yourself up over this job search stuff. You will face rejections, you will face setbacks, you will make mistakes. That just happens. Instead of focusing on the negative parts of the job search, remember how talented and great you really are. Remember how your coworkers came to you to help them solve problems. Remember the positive feedback that your manager and customers would give you. Stay focused on the positive and remember the good things that you have accomplished. And if you need to be like Stuart Smalley and say, you know what, I'm good enough and people like me, and look in the mirror and have that positive conversation with yourself, try doing that too. Now that we've talked about what you need to be mentally healthy and strong, let's talk about what you need to have an effective, productive job search. I don't want you to get discouraged by the news that's out there that companies are laying off and that companies are having hiring freezes. There will always be companies that are hiring, and your job is to be at the right place at the right time. One of the things that stresses job seekers out is that this job search process takes longer than they expect. It always will. So if you have allocated 3, 6, 9 months of savings or unemployment or severance, the best thing that you can do today is to create a budget and put yourself on that budget sooner rather than later. That gives you a buffer and a leeway so that you don't feel stressed by money and paying bills. The other thing that you can do today that will alleviate the stress and anxiety is to develop a plan B. If you know that your unemployment or your severance will run out in February, you can begin looking soon for a job or a way to generate income when February comes along. Having that plan in place gives you that feeling again of control and knowing what you're going to do so that you're not panicked. So your plan B could be working for a temporary agency. It could be taking, starting to do contract work on your own. It could be working for a retail company. And you know what? If you want to register with a temporary agency today and tell them that you ideally would like to start in February, and they call you in January and they say, we've got this assignment for you, you have a choice. And having a choice as to whether or not you accept an assignment is empowering, and that's where I want you to be. If you are looking for a retail job, the best time to get that is probably going to be in January, after all of the holiday retail jobs have declined and people have left and stopped working. So have that plan B in place today and create a budget so that you are ready for whatever comes your way. Remember, this job search is going to take longer than you want. If you haven't looked for a job in a while or ever, what you may not realize is that the job search is a process. It's very systematic, and it starts not with updating your resume, but with you identifying the jobs or roles and employers that you want to work for. It sounds very challenging, but that's what it's going to take to start a job search. Once you have an idea of the roles and jobs and companies that you're interested in, then you can embed the right keywords and emphasize the right skill sets and the right experience for those types of jobs on your resume, in your LinkedIn, and in your pitch. Once you have that communication strategy down, you're ready to schedule out your time and blocks of time so that you can talk with people and build that into your calendar of activities. You can also allocate time and energy to pursuing jobs on job boards and reaching out to recruiters who specialize in the kind of work that you are looking for. And it's always good to begin preparing for interviews in advance so that you're not cramming at the last minute. And technically, you can start practicing for interviews and preparing for interviews right away. You know there are certain questions that you're going to be asked, like, what are your salary requirements? Why did you leave your last job? What are you looking for in your next job? Those are questions that you can prepare pretty common, solid answers to, but you need to give some thought to that before you get to the interview process. And then eventually you'll be accepting the job offer. As quick as and easy as this process looks, it does take time. As we just looked at in the job search process, the first step is really knowing yourself and your goals. So I want you to spend more time than you probably think you should in determining what you want to do next. First, what are your most marketable skills? What are the hard and soft skills that you have that you know will be or are in demand? What are the types of roles that you are looking for? Every company sometimes calls what you do something different, and in one company if you might have been called a project manager, and another one you might be called an organizer. So you want to be able to do your research and understand what those roles are and how they differ so that you are applying for the right level of job. The last thing that I want you to really give a lot of thought to, and probably one of the more important things, is know the value that you offer to future employers. They're not hiring you just for the skills. They are hiring you because you solve a problem for them. Whether that is bringing in new business or streamlining processes or working really well with customers or developing relationships inside and outside of the organization. What is the problem that you solve for companies and the value that you bring? That is pretty unique to you and something that you want to be able to articulate in your job search. Long ago, I learned about this formula, and I think it helps you understand why it's important to have many irons in the fire. So if I were to ask you, how many jobs could you fill in a company? That answer might be 1, or it could be 5. Let's say that there are 5 customer service roles in the company that you are applying for and you're looking for a customer service role. There are 5 different jobs that you could potentially fill. If you were the supervisor of a team of customer service managers, there might only be 1 of you, or maybe there are 2 of you because there are 2 small teams. The higher up the food chain you get, the corporate ladder you get, the fewer probable positions you could fill. Usually that's 1. Right now, the average tenure in a job is 3 years. You can't change that number, and you can't change how many jobs you could fill in a company. So what that means is if you're pursuing 1 job with 1 company, a job would become available once every 3 years. I don't know where in the time frame that person is in their tenure. They may have just started, so it could be 3 more years before their job becomes available. The only number that you can change that isn't listed here is the number of companies that you are pursuing. So let's talk about how many target companies you should be looking at. As always, I want you to have opportunity and I want you to have choices. So I want you to think about creating or building a list of 50 target companies. These are not companies that have openings. Let me say that again and again. These companies do not need to have openings. They do need to have the kinds of roles that you are interested in, but they do not have to have current openings. These companies may be similar to the company that you used to work for. They may be competitors. They could be top companies in your geographic area, or they could be top companies in the industry that you are pursuing. They could be best places to work. They may even be startups. And pay attention to small to medium businesses because they don't have the same advertising budget and their company brand is not as widely known. So they don't get as many people applying to their jobs, but they are still very good places to work. Your goal is to build this list of 50 target companies. Using a variety of resources, word of mouth referral, doing some research online, and you don't need to know a lot about these companies at first. In some cases, you might find a company, then begin doing research and it comes off your list. Start with a list of 50 companies, begin doing research, and if you need to replace a company or take it off your list, that's fine. Just know that you'll be looking for a replacement down the road. I want to tell you a quick story. Long ago, I was looking for a new car and the car dealership said, well, the next car, we're all out of the car that you want. The next car won't be coming in for a while. We'll call you when it comes in. And I said, well, great, I'm really excited. What color is this car? And they said, well, it's a baby blue. I'm like, I have never seen a baby blue Prius, but don't you know that next week and the week after, every Prius that I saw on the road was a baby blue Prius. So this is almost like the law of attraction. The reason I'm suggesting that you have 50 companies is that you're going to learn about these 50 companies. You're going to hear about them in the news. You're going to find out the people that you know work there. It's very similar to the law of attraction. You have a greater sense of awareness of these companies because you've identified them. And with that greater sense of awareness, there is the greater probability that you will uncover jobs or opportunities with some of these companies. The next thing that you're going to do is create a list of 100 people that you know. This is a brainstorming activity and you may not complete it all in one sitting, but I want you either on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper to begin writing down the names of friends, family, neighbors, service providers, doctors, dentists, lawyers, financial advisors, hairdressers, all of these people that you see, past co-workers, people you volunteer with, members of professional associations, vendors, suppliers, contractors. I want you to begin writing down all of these names. No crossing people off the list yet. Just write down all of these names. It's a brainstorming activity. It gets your juices flowing. This is a list of 100 people to start with that you know. Go. Creating this list of 100 people is probably one of the more important things that you're going to do in your job search, because it allows you to search for people, not just jobs. When you think about it, it's a person that actually ends up hiring you for a job. And your chances of getting referred for a job and getting an interview are much greater than if you just apply online. So I want to change your focus from searching for jobs to searching from people. You're going to prioritize your outreach and start with the people that you know well, the friends and family and neighbors and those kinds of contacts. The reason you want to start with people you know well is because you haven't had to talk about your background and to announce your job search before in a while, and you need some practice. And the people that know and like you are more forgiving, and they're going to be more helpful and give you next level connections to people that you should know and company insiders. So practice with the people that you know well, and then you'll develop the confidence and clarity in your conversation to be able to have conversations with higher stake individuals who may have actual jobs that you could be pursuing. It's not hard to reach out to people that you haven't talked to in a while. It's actually quite fun. And all we're doing is showing them that we're human and being nice. So if you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, there's nothing wrong with reaching out through an email and saying, "Hey Sarah, the last time we spoke was over 3 years ago. How time flies. I wanted to check in and see how things are going with you. What's new with you and your work?" It puts a work context around it. You're showing interest in the other person. And that's it. That is your way of re-engaging, reconnecting with people you haven't been in contact with you in a while. If you notice, there's no mention in here about what my needs are or what I'm looking for, information about a job. That will come up during the conversation. I want to put the focus on reconnecting with this person. It has to be genuine, and it can't be a bait and switch kind of situation here. Show interest in the other person first and foremost. If it's somebody you don't know as well, you may want to go ahead and reconnect with them, but give them more of an update on what's going on in your life. I wanted to touch base with you again since we last spoke. I've had some success speaking with people about X jobs. Keeping somebody in the loop is a good way of cementing that relationship and showing that you are appreciative and thankful for the information that you've given them. Email is such a better tool than LinkedIn messaging. Many people think LinkedIn messaging is faster, easier, but it's only good if people use it. Not everybody is active on LinkedIn all the time. What I know and what you know is that everybody checks their email every single day. So use the tool that's more likely to get you a response, which is email. If you don't know the person's email, if you're connected on LinkedIn, all you need to do is go to their contact link on their profile, and you can find their email address. So it's all right there. Send an email, not a LinkedIn message. In every conversation you have with, whether it be a friend, neighbor, relative, and depending on how well you know them and the circumstances around how you know them, you're going to ask one or more of these three questions. Are there other companies I should be looking at? Based on what I'm looking for, is there anyone you would suggest I reach out to? And or, do you know anyone else who works at any of these companies? This gets back to giving people information that they can work with, rather than saying, do you know anybody who's hiring project managers, which is very vague and nebulous and people can't get their arms around that. Everybody knows somebody by a company they work for. So you really want to focus the information that you're giving with people to the kinds of companies, the names of companies that you want to work with. That allows them to give you the best kind of help. When you are tracking down people and looking for information about companies, you are driving this process and you are in control. You're being proactive. You're trying to uncover information, which puts you in a position of confidence and gives you more gives you greater control. So when you're driving the process, you're researching each company, you're asking your contacts about what they know about each company, and you're finding employees to talk with. The thing to remember, and a great reminder, is that when you're pursuing information about companies, it doesn't matter if there is an opening at this point in time or not. There may be one coming up and you just don't know about it. So don't use the opening as a criteria for whether or not a company is on your list or not. Many times people will attend workshops or information sessions like this, and they'll just go through and say, okay, yeah, whatever, I got the information. I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you to write down the names of 3 people that you are going to reconnect with or reach out to this week. Write those 3 names down, and then when this seminar is over and you're done watching it, you then have one tangible action that you can take. Who are the 3 people that you're going to reconnect with this week? There's another pearl of wisdom that I want to drop for you. When you find a job, use the 2-step method. The first step can be, when you find a job, before you apply, I want you to go to LinkedIn and find somebody that you know that works inside that company. It could be a first-degree connection or a second-degree connection. You want to have a conversation with somebody who works inside the company. They might be a referral. They could be a referral source for you if you need it, if you're interested in applying. They will be an informant if you need an update, and they may even serve as an advocate. So find a job, find an insider. The other way this process can work is if you end up speaking with somebody who works inside a company you're interested in, they might be able to help turn you on to a job, help you find a job that's available that you might be interested in. So if you're using the 2-step, find a job, find an insider, find an insider, find a job. That's the magic to job search. Now that you know all the different activities that you're going to be doing, let's look at how you can manage your time to be more productive and stay motivated while job searching. If I were to ask you how many hours a week you spend in job search, would you be able to tell me? You might be able to give me a rough estimate, but could you really break down how you are spending the time in your job search? I will say most job seekers can't do that. And as a result, they don't know where they're spending a lot of time and where they're not spending a lot of time, and what the return on that investment is. Let's do better. Let's be better and treat this job search like it's our job. There are a lot of different things that you will be responsible for taking care of during a job search, from searching the job boards to writing cover letters and filling out applications, writing a resume, being active on LinkedIn, meeting with people, professional development. That's a lot of balls that you're going to be juggling. So it makes sense if we're treating this job search like a job, to develop some structure and a schedule around how we're going to spend our day and our week. When I was first starting my business, I created blocks of time so that I would be sure to make sure I did those things that I didn't really want to do. I never really liked lead generation and outreach and following up, so I wouldn't spend as much time on those. But if I blocked that time on my calendar, Monday through Friday, I knew that I would have to get it done. The same thing is true for you and your job search activities. Each one of these are reoccurring themes that happen every day at different points, and using time blocking ensures that I give time, especially to those things that I don't like doing, and I limit the amount of time that I could spend doing things that I enjoy doing. Everything is equal. There's lots of blank time on this calendar so that I have time to schedule interviews or ad hoc meetings or follow-up appointments with people. There's enough time for me to fill it in with other things that I know have to get done during my job search. Let's take a closer look at what some of these time blocks are. You could easily spend a lot more than 30, 35 hours a week in job search, or say that you're spending more than 30, 35 hours in job search. But I want you to keep it to, as close to 30, 35 hours a week so that you don't get burned out. And these are the categories of activities that I want you to stay focused on. You could develop your own, but I have found that these have worked, and they're the right types of activities that for you to be thinking about when it comes to job search. Knowledge update, that could be reading articles, that could be taking online courses. Schedule that time for an hour a day. Updating LinkedIn or LinkedIn time is 1 hour a day that I'm active on LinkedIn, whether that's posting or commenting, but I only do that once a day, no more, no less. Online applications, I might not do that every single day because there may not be enough jobs to apply to, but maybe 2 or 3 times a week, I'm going to dedicate and bucket all of my online applications and get those done together. Because there's something that happens when I begin developing a resume I know I can use for multiple jobs. Following up with or doing outreach over the phone is something that I don't necessarily like, but I'm going to bucket all of those outreach and follow-up calls in the same window of time because I'll get into the swing and groove of it. And once it's done, it'll be done. I'll have phone calls or meetings with people based on appointments that I've set and conversations that I want to have, and those are on my calendar. Email and sending email and then responding to email is something that, as you know from work, we could live in our inboxes. I don't want you to live in your inbox. I want you to check it in a disciplined fashion, and maybe that's once a day, maybe that's twice a day, but don't live in your email box because it takes you away and distracts you from the other things that you need to do. There could be, there might be, there should be group events that you're attending on a regular basis. That could be a mastermind group, it could be a job club, it could be a networking group. Put that time on your calendar. There will be also other group events that you'll attend. It might be some webinar that you see being offered or things like that. Volunteer time should be on your calendar so that it gets the attention it deserves. And by all means, make sure that you have me time. That is time that you're going to go for a walk or meditate or go to a yoga class, or that you're going to go to an exercise class, or just take a time for yourself. That time is sacred and it deserves to be on your calendar as well. Be sure that you schedule these activities, again, keeping in mind when you have your peak energy and mental stamina. When it comes to managing your time and schedule, always remember to set a timer because we have a tendency to go down rabbit holes and to get distracted. One minute you're reading an article, the next minute you're on Amazon buying a shirt. So set a timer that will prevent you from drifting away and getting distracted. Be sure one of the best things that you can do is to schedule that precious me time, and don't forget to reward yourself for small wins. This job search, as we know, is going to take longer than you want, and it's important for you to feel the gratitude and to recognize your achievements each and every day. So reward yourself for the small wins. One way to make sure that you're getting things done is to set SMART goals. And if you had to do this in your last job, then you know what I'm doing, you know how to do this, you've done it before. I want you to apply that same set of rules, that same SMART goal framework to your job search. Make sure that your goals are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. An okay example of this is send an email to 5 people from my contact list today. So I know exactly what to do. I'm going to send the email to 5 people. I'm going to pull the people I'm going to send it to are on my contact list, and I'm going to do that today. So there's very little that's going to get in my way of being able to achieve that successfully. There are always going to be tools that will make your life easier when it comes to job search and even your work. That could be a job tracking system or a contact management system, organizational tools, email tools, research tools, interview best practice tools, home office essentials, and even well-being tools. Talk to other job seekers, read articles, be on the lookout for tools that could make your life easier and more effective. LinkedIn has a wonderful free interview practice tool that a lot of people don't know about, but it's out there. Having the right home office setup is also going to make you more productive. So make sure that you've got everything that you need, printer ink and internet, a strong internet connection, and a ring light for online conversations. For a job tracking system, if you haven't heard of Teal HQ, it is got a lot of different features to it. One of those is an online job tracking system that allows you to track what jobs you've applied to, which ones you haven't heard from, which ones you have heard from, and so forth. So find tools that allow you to be more effective. Ask people who are job seekers what tools they like, and look for an article that I wrote. It's 35 job search productivity tools. It was written last year. Now I'm ready to share with you my favorite and the best job search secret and tip to success. Get an accountability partner. This could be somebody who was laid off with you at the same time from the same company. It could be a job club. It could be somebody who's already working. It could be anybody, but you want an accountability partner. Hopefully somebody who is also going through the job search that you can bounce ideas off of and help see things in different ways than you might see them, that may have had different experiences, and be able to share a different perspective. Getting an accountability partner will greatly enhance and speed up your job search because it's got that motivation factor built in, and you're more likely to get things done. If you are looking for built-in motivation system, I have something coming up on December 5th. It's 6 virtual group meetings. It's called Motivation Monday. It's you, me, and up to 9 other people meeting for once a week in a live format, in a structured format, and we talk about our goals for the upcoming week, what worked, what successes we had this week, and what are our challenges that we need help with. And every week we have a 1-hour meeting with each other to go through these things, to hold each other accountable, and to get it done. If you're interested, scan this barcode, and it will take you to the site, a page on my site where you can register if you're interested in participating on Mondays from 12 to 1. My hope is that after going through some of the things that we've talked about today, that you're walking away with a list of things that you're going to do differently in your job search. But just in case, let's review some of the main points of what I talked about in this session. Number 1 is to take care of yourself. Get that oxygen mask on. Number 2 is to be disciplined. You need a system and a process and organization to keep yourself on track. Number 3 is to be proactive and strategic in the actions that you take. Don't just apply for jobs online and wait. Take action, take control. And the last step, action that I want you to take is to not job search alone. Find somebody, join my accountability group, but find a way to work together with other people to help find a job faster. What will you do differently starting today? I hope that throughout the course of today's session, you've been thinking and processing and getting new ideas on how you can have greater control and influence over your own job search, to be in the driver's seat, and to have the mental stamina to endure this difficult time ahead of you. That concludes our presentation for today. I want to thank you so much for being here with me. I'm all over social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So feel free to follow me over there. I also produce a weekly newsletter. And if you are interested, you can go to my website, careersherpa.net, and sign up for it. There's a sign-up form a couple places on the page. It's Summary Sunday. It comes out on Sunday, and it's filled with articles and news about what's new and upcoming in the world of job search. Thank you so much for being part of today's session, and thanks I look forward to seeing you around.